Hey there, this video is a basic in-depth guide to Moira. The idea is to get you a head start on this character, and show you the strengths and weaknesses of the hero, as well as some tips about the best ways to use her kit and to cooperate with your team. Alright guys, let's do it. Hello guys, and welcome to the dojo. This guide is made for you to have better control with Moira and gain a deeper understanding of her basics and usage in your competitive matches, as well as some general knowledge that you should have when Moira is on your team or the enemy team. All of our guides are written by the Dojo team, high-level Overwatch players with a lot of competitive experience in both this game and previous esports titles. However, Moira is a special case, as we have a top 500 support and competitive gamer amongst our midst, and his thoughts of this character are deeply woven into the contents of this video to make sure that you get the best overview that we can provide. We usually start by understanding each and every ability of the hero in our guides. This is to make sure that you know exactly how the skills work with every small detail that could come up. Even if you don't intend to play Moira, it will still be good for you to know exactly what's going on when she's around. Moira's basic attack, Biotic Grasp, is a unique dual resource ability. The left hand gives healing to allies as a yellow beam heals multiple targets in a cone, while the right hand locks onto a single target as a purple beam to siphon health away from the target, charging the healing resource and giving you back a little bit of health at the same time. You can tell which effect of her ability is in use by the color that you can see. The range of the abilities is 15 meters for healing and 20 meters for damage. The animations are a little bit wonky and misleading because they seem to be shorter than that. However, the distance that she gives you is a lot of space to play with your basic attacks. It's usually a safe distance to spray your healing or lock onto a single enemy from behind your frontliners. The healing of Biotic Grasp heals your allies in a line for around 80 HP per second in a wide area of effect beam. This is a line of sight based ability, meaning that shields and barriers will block its effect. There are 3 important things to keep in mind when using it. It can heal more than one person if you position yourself well. It depletes over time and recharges really slowly on its own, so you'll need to attack with a Biotic Grasp to make her work well. The healing has an overcharge effect, meaning that the healing persists after you end the beam for 50 health in 3 seconds. If you need to conserve your healing resource, it's a good idea to just briefly spray your allies to heal up when the situation isn't hot. It's recommended to preserve your resources with this ability. When entering a team fight, your allies will be really happy to have the overcharge effect on them for a few seconds, and this way you can secure a lot of extra healing power. The damage part of the Biotic Grasp will charge your healing resource, giving you unavoidable damage without the need to reload, and locks onto the target kind of like Symmetra's beam. You'll need to be able to track the enemy well, because if your crosshair leaves the target, your ability will be cancelled. Abusing the range of the ability, you should always be in your backline healing and looking for opportunities to lock onto an unsuspecting enemy and sap away their precious life force. The range allows you to help with hard to reach enemies, or to do sustained damage to someone who's nearly dead. When you get into a hot situation where you need to fight for your life up close, it's important to keep the crosshair on the enemy while dodging excessively. The regen you get helps you to stay alive even against DPS heroes who can't disable or one-shot you easily. Keep in mind that this is in a team setting. Your healing is a lot more valuable than doing damage. Your teammates will appreciate you a lot more if you're spraying them instead of trying to be their DPS. Alright, continuing with our abilities. Next up is the Biotic Orb. This ability is really interesting both in its usage and its effect. When you hit the ability key, you have the choice to use the orb for healing or damage. Both modes will create a ball that travels through shields and character models, slightly faster than Symmetra's orbs. The cooldown is instant when you cast the ability, and you'll need to wait 10 seconds to be able to use it again. The ball will bounce from the walls and disappear once depleted, more about that in a second, or the cooldown of the ability recharges. It's also important to note that it slows down when connecting to its target, friend for healing and foe for damage, to do more work on them, and disconnects to speed up again when it leaves the effective range, or the target is full in case of healing or dead in case of damaging. The orb will of course travel forth and even bounce in the slowed down state, but at a fraction of the initial velocity. This can be used to ensure that you give the right amount of attention to your target, whether it's healing or damage. Both versions of the orbs are most effective in closed areas. While it may seem tempting to try to calculate the bouncing trajectory of the orbs, it'll probably go wrong, and you'll just be sitting there empty. We recommend using them as simply as possible, going straight to your target and maybe keeping the first bounce in mind, but that's it. The only exception is when you fight in a really small room. You can use the walls to bounce the orb back and forth to maximize the damage or healing. The Biotic Orb can also be used to harass faraway targets. You can give a hand from afar to a teammate who's trying to contest high ground, or harass the enemy sniper with a well-placed orb. Keep in mind, however, that the orbs can be countered by a deflecting Genji or Diva matrix. They can also, for whatever reason at this point in time, be absorbed by Mei walls, enemy or friendly. So the healing orb has 300 charges and will heal allies with a rate of 75 heal per second. You can see if it connects with an ally because small tethers will spawn from the ball towards the friendly hero. When combined with your healing grasp, these two abilities will deal 140 heals per second, which currently in the game outperforms any healing ability in the game minus Zenyatta's Transcendence. That's a lot of yellow healing goodness. Regarding the placement, there are two really good scenarios that you should look out for. Wait for your team to group up and go in. This will usually happen with your tanks in front, DPS in the middle, and supports in the back. A lined up team makes a good target for your healing orb. Make sure to wait for some damage to occur and launch the orb towards the front line for maximum effectiveness. If your team is fighting in a closed area, just bounce the balls using the walls. You should use the orb for pushes and retreats. It's really important to have someone already damaged, or the healing ball will just pass through your team, not giving any healing to your teammates. It's also worth noting that the orb can be used to heal allies that are far away. However, keep in mind that if you're damaged, the orb will slow down and connect to you first, possibly missing the target that you wanted to help in the first place. Fading away does not help with this, as the ball will still connect to you. The damaging orb does a maximum of 200 damage, then it fades away. The rate of fire is 50 damage per second. As with the basic attack, it's really important to keep in mind that you're a healer and not a damage dealer. While siphoning the life away from the helpless enemies can seem tempting, you should always focus on healing. That is what you do better. The healing orb does more raw help than the damaging one. Try to prioritize that in team fights. The damaging orb can be used to poke at remote enemies. It's also a really nice tool to farm your ultimate when the enemy is clutched. This ability has become one of our favorite match starting abilities as defenders because hurling it into an attacker's spawn room will guarantee a 10% ultimate charge right away. This ability can also be used to munch anyone's health when in a 1v1 situation. It's recommended using against enemies with sustained low damage, like Winston or an enemy Moira. Next up is Moira's movement ability, Fade. Activating this ability makes Moira invisible and untargetable, greatly increasing her movement speed for a short amount of time. While faded, she cannot be healed by targeted abilities, but her own orb, health packs, and other AoE abilities that replenish her health can. Fade is your movement and escape ability as Moira. It has a 6-second cooldown, so you should be safe than sorry. Use it whenever you need to move around or dodge something. Apart from escaping lethal damage, it can be used to quickly disengage from enemies, to change your position for more effective healing during team fights, or to get close to a priority target and help in hunting them down. Just like Reaper's Wraith form, it can be activated to avoid certain abilities and ultimates in the game. Timing it right can leave a Junkrat hanging, blowing off the ultimate just when you fade it. You can also escape from Zarya's graph with this ability at any time during the graph. It's important to note that this is not a teleport, it's a small burst of speed that you get. The momentum that you gain can be preserved and used to jump farther or to change directions in the air. Her ultimate ability, Coalescence, can be activated to create a 30-meter long channeled beam that does healing to your allies and damage at the same time. The healing is 140 health per second to allies, also healing you 50 HP per second. The damage is 70 DPS. It works like Zarya's beam, fires in a straight line, follows the crosshair and has no delay when changing directions, but penetrates all allies and enemies, applying the effects to all of them at once. You will gain speed when using the ultimate, floating above the ground during the 8-second duration. It's important to keep in mind that this is a channeled ability, meaning that you won't be able to use anything else, and you can be interrupted by hack or stuns. While this ultimate is flashy and fancy, it's not really a game changer. Thus, you should use it as frequently as possible to increase your chances to win your next team fight. As with all other abilities, prioritize healing over doing damage. With the increased speed, you can position yourself to places where you can heal and do damage at the same time. When going for the enemies, keep in mind that your damage is not that high. Your range, however, is huge. Hunting down low health enemies is definitely worth it, but don't try to take an ulting pharmacy down. The ultimate also penetrates shields, so you can get to your whole team with it. Moira is a close range healer with great potential. However, she's not able to take the role of the solo heal. You'll be a lot more comfortable to have double supports with Moira, instead of trying to count on her ability to sustain the whole team. That being said, she works best with slow-moving deathball comps, and will have a really hard time sustaining dive compositions. Not only is it hard to reach allies when they're jumping into the enemy team, but you'll lack the protection to reposition yourself or even to reach the objective safely. As with all supports, you need to always be on your toes and continuously look for the best positions to heal your team and sneak in some extra damage as well. All that is good and well, but your main concern should be staying alive before anything else. Use a biotic orb quickly and fade away to make sure that you're alive and your allies can heal up if they make it back to you. Try to play around your tanks, use them for protection and never let them move too far away from you. This will ensure their sustain and your well-being. Your combined healing power is really spectacular, and you can use it to save allies at the brink of death. Your biotic grasp is definitely the most valuable thing here, but don't forget to use the orb as well. When someone's really low, avoid the orb and go for raw healing. It has more heals per second. Remember that you're most effective if your team is grouped up, so try to stick together. Your ultimate works better this way as well. And don't forget to spray a little healing on everyone before entering a team fight to grant them the regeneration effect. In case you're wondering how to get better at the game from where you are now, or you feel stuck and need a hand, we're offering private coaching on our Patreon page. Head over there for the details, or ask around on the Discord server. You won't regret accelerating your improvement with our coaches, the same guys who created these videos. Alright, that was our Moira guide from the pen of a top 500 support. We'd love to have your feedback, so please tell us if you liked the video, or if there's anything that we can do to improve it. As always, make sure that you like, favorite, comment, share, and subscribe if you have not already, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Hey.